Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Weishut, and I'm here together with my colleague Moshe Baruch Blackman, and we are from the Hadassah Academic College in Jerusalem. We'll be talking with you today about Ultra-Orthodox Jewish students' wellness on enrollment in the academy, and in specific about narratives of stress. I'll give you some background about Ultra-Orthodox Jews. Ultra-Orthodox Jews separated from mainstream Judaism in the 18th century. It's this group that we see on the right, where the men wear black and have uniform appearance. Their lifestyle is highly traditional, following Jewish law or the Torah, and they do not work but study in the Jewish religious schools, or what is called the yeshiva. Their life is regulated by the rabbinical authority, and the rabbi decides on many issues in their lives, how they are supposed to behave and how they're even supposed to think. As a result, their life is kind of separated from the rest of Israeli society and also from democratic institutes. They comprise about 14% of Israeli population as for 2023.
Entrance into the academy. Recently, Ultra-Orthodox students have started enrolling in the academy. So recently, we mean mostly the last decade. They have certain changes in the Ultra-Orthodox population. Part of them, that's the increasing of that population and the need of people to go to have more work. Part of working or the working world is to join in the academy, because it's very hard to reach a good paying work if you don't have a background of academy or certain learning. This is a step. The joining of the academy is a step towards participation in democracy. So it's 3 points that I could explain what is the difference between the ultra-Orthodox values to the academic values. Makes a difference to be the participation in the academic and the democracy population, democracy in Israel institution. First is diverse perspective. Mostly the ultra-Orthodox, they are trying to have less diversity and more, they're trying to be alike one each other and not to have your unique thoughts, a unique way of dressing, for example. Civic engagement, to be engaged in the society, to be more involved in society that are not religious, and social integration, to be integrate in the other society, the secular society, on the non-ultra-Orthodox society. Shifting from religious to academic to academic world is complex. So any changes from the regular life is difficult, but shifting from such a closed and not diverse life to the academic causes a lot of complex. Part of the complex is value basis, because the difference in the values between the ultra-Orthodox and the non-ultra-Orthodox, and practical reasons, because difference of their way of life towards the way of life of academy or people who study in the academia. This makes, and we could explain that difficulties later in the other. This makes academic life stressful and might harm students' wellness. complications in enrolling in the academic world could make the life very stress and could harm the wellness. Study outline. So our purposes. We're trying first to identify the sources of stress on enrolling into the academy. What is the main problems or main problems that causes the stress, or the main cause we find in our study? Population. What is the population we're referring to? So the population is undergraduating students in social work program for Ultra-Orthodox Jews, male students. Approach a qualitative study making use of students' narrative. So we're looking that story through the students' narrative.
So to clarify things, I was a teacher in an introduction in psychology class, and my colleague here was a student in the same program for ultra-Orthodox male social work students. I asked my students to fill out an assignment, describe a stressful situation in their lives, some in the far past, some more recent, and also how they dealt with it. Since then, a couple of years passed, and I approached again students from 5 cohorts and asked their permission to use this assignment from this course. In the meantime, all these students were social workers by themselves, and students gave their written consent. And then my colleague here analyzed these assignments thematically from these narratives that they wrote about. So the participants were all male, and in age they were between 22 and 47 years old, so quite old relatively for students. The mean age was 31, and 75% of these students were married. We approached 118 students, of those 103 gave their consent, and which is 94%, which is quite a high percentage. Those who did not give their consent refused because of concerns of privacy, and they were afraid that their personal stories would somehow leak out to the general public. Our findings were as follows. Students in their assignments addressed various concerns arousing stress. They wrote about accidents, about illnesses, they wrote about encounters with animals, and many more things. However, 23% of these narratives included references to enrollment in the academy. And this study here, we focus on these specific narratives that referred to the academy. And among these narratives, in the analysis, there were 3 themes that emerged. And the themes were balancing studies and family, making a living, and the exam period. And we'll explain now each of these themes.
So we're bringing 3 quotes to explain or to show how that 3 themes affect the student's life. So let's start with balancing studies and family. So that's quote we're bringing from David. He's 37 years old, and that's how David quotes.
I feel that my life has changed in its routine. Studies, assignments, and tests have been added to my daily life, which requires me to devote maximum time. I'm married and the father of a 2-year-old girl, and 2.5 months ago, I had another child, which requires more help from me with household matters.
So we could see from that quote from David's story. First, David is a little unique because mostly male in his age, 37, it's not rare he could have also 10 kids. But in our story, he has just 2 kids, and most of them are young. So we could see he get married just older. But from that story, we could see part of the picture that part of the students, or most of the students, are starting to participate the academy after they're getting married. Since that, you could see they have a lot of difficulties of trying to balance the life. You could see here he has 2 years old girl, and then he has already a newborn baby, and he needs to try to balance all of them between him and his wife and his household between and studies, assignments, and tests. So that could be an example to see the difficulties of the Ultra-Orthodox students by balancing his studies and family life. The second one we're trying to bring is making a living. So the quote is from Yoni, he's 23 years old, and Yoni quotes is,
I have accumulated a lot of stress in the last year for several reasons, mainly the financial situation. I'm under financial pressure each month, which causes me stress and strain. The reasons for this are that I cannot work in an income-generating job, as I still need to get an education and I do not have free time because of my studies.
So we could see from Yoni's story a common problem who involves the problem of making living or having a normal income to support his kids and his family. Because mostly young students who arrive in the first time to the academy, to the first degree at least, so they're young and they have a family background or at least a financial back. What Yoni here doesn't have, and a lot of our students have suffered with that. And we could see also he has a problem to find a job who could give him a certain income, could help him really to support his family, because he has another problem, he's not educated. People go to master's degree mostly, so they're already educated and they could have a certain income to support themselves when they're starting the master's degree, but in that age or in the age of when you have family. But in our story, Yoni's story, you could see he has the problem to balance and to have like making a living in a way he could really support normally his kids and his wife and his studies and the time he needs to study. And also in quote could bring also a problem is there also is a big Indian or is a big in Judaism to continue study Torah or Jewish law even when you're working. So everyone is recommended to bring part of his life or part of his time into Torah. And that's also could cause a lot of complications. The third theme is the exam period. So we are quoting Yaakov is 32 years old, and let's quote Yaakov.
In the yeshiva world where I was educated before my marriage, emphasis was placed on theoretical investment and labor, and less space was given to the measurement of the achievements measured with precise tools such as assignments or tests and grades.
So the story of Yaakov, is a very common problem, very common difficulty were brought out by religion or Ultra-Orthodox students. They're bringing, because mostly when they learn in yeshiva, the yeshiva studies focuses less on knowledge and more on the study itself. They treat the study as a holy thing, even without understanding. They're trying to go the most understanding they can, but the main work is not on understanding or check your knowledge, and the main work is just study. But the opposite you could see in the academy. Academy works more on see if you really understood or you have tests you need to summarize stuff like that. They're not used to. It's a different method of learning, of studying that affects their ability to join the exam period and causes major stress events.
So for our discussion, we have a few points. First of all, the age and family status. As you heard, the ultra-Orthodox students are older and most of them are married, which is dissimilar from the secular students and clearly affects their experience of academic studies. The second point is related to ideological differences. These students come from a background where they're used to authoritarian thinking. They were requested to limit their free thinking and at least to some extent to obey to the dominant way of thinking as expressed by the rabbi. And then they enter into a world where free thinking is encouraged. So this gives a kind of stress. Then there is an issue of commonalities and uniqueness of these themes, because it's possible to say these are the same things that secular students suffer from. And yes, to a certain extent, that is true. However, there are unique characteristics among these ultra-Orthodox students that are different from those the secular students. And then the last point is mental and physical wellness. And though we did not describe it specifically, many of these students refer to the negative effects in their lives of the stress they experienced because of their studies in combination with the other things in their lives. Then there are the limitations of this study. Note, we looked at a very specific population, a campus for ultra-Orthodox Jews only. Some ultra-Orthodox students study in mixed universities. However, we focused on male social work students on a very specific campus. So we need to be very careful with generalizing from these findings. However, what we do believe is that we can say something general about ultra-Orthodox male students. Then the conclusions and practical implications. Mapping the difficulties for ultra-Orthodox students is significant, and that is because of three reasons. First of all, understanding the causes of stress leads to focused solutions. Then overcoming these causes of stress increases students' wellness and prevents harm to their health. And this reduces dropout and enhances participation in democracy. Now, we have to understand that many of these students arrive in the academy without sufficient preparation. So while in the academy, we can help them, assist them in coping better with the different stresses and with a different way of thinking, we have a chance of reducing the dropout and help them integrate into society.
Recommendations. We recommend, so the first discussion between staff and students to raise mutual awareness, workshops on time, financial, and stress management, ongoing support group. So the three recommendations are around understanding and try to help each other from their own from their own life of own way of to help each other. Everyone could help his friend, how he really how he understood or how he get overcome that stress events, and also to have discussions by the staff could help them to have more to help the staff to understand more the problems, and also to help them to overcome that stress events. Future research. So we're trying first to competitive research. We have two competitive research we offer. The first one is to try to make to bring ultra-Orthodox versus secular students, to bring more to make a research that compares both of them, and women versus men. Our research is focused on men, but we want to have a more research that could compare them and to women and to Orthodox women who joins the academy. We have certain database on that section, but we're looking forward to make it to open it and to try to analyze it. Quantitative research, reading, wellness of ultra-Orthodox students. So we're offering to have more researchers who focuses on the wellness of the ultra-Orthodox students. Thank you for listening. For any questions, we're happy that you could contact us in the context who we mentioned here below.